that power. All of the pathways of heaven and earth are open to me. All of the pathways of heaven and earth are open to me. All of the pathways of heaven and earth are open to me.
Charmé, peace and freedom, and Heru Nechest Barek, which means Blessed Resurrection Day. I hope this has been an uplifting day for you all. As many of you know, the resurrection tradition goes back to ancient Kemet, and that's what we honor at this time. And so we'll be going through that and finding out how that relates to your life today, and also taking a look at what is really important for you to reclaim in your life at this time. We're going to do things a little differently. I'm not going to do ceremony. Although there is one ceremony that I did promise you last time that I am going to do. We will be having our Huit Karest, our Kemetic Eucharist, but it will be truly taking it back to its origins and going to the ancient writings left behind by our ancestors. How's everybody today? I'm hoping that everybody is well. Check in. Let me know how you're doing. Can everybody hear me okay? How is the sound? And how was your day? Brandon, how are you? It's good to see you. Hope you had a great day. And please share, spread the word that I am on. Really focusing in on doing a very concise and tight program for the podcast. Now, what's interesting is I've been trying to find the right podcast system that I want to go through, because, you know, if you have a video, then that eats up a lot more space. So in trying to find the right podcast host that hosts large size videos, that's been a bit of a challenge. So, but I think that within the next couple of days, I'll have that all hammered out. But in the meantime, it is still available through facebook.com/Imaku and my related pages, and of course here on YouTube. Brandon, how was my day? My day was very introspective. I went to a sound bath yesterday that a friend hosted at a yoga studio. And so this was after the session that I have scheduled that I do every week. In fact, you know what I need to do is to bring up the flyer that I have for that. So the people who are in the tri-state area, if you want to come and experience Kemetic yoga at a beginner level, I don't do any of this stuff where I'm like, twisting people into a pretzel and putting people in headstands and any of that stuff. I don't put my hands on people. It's very non-threatening and very non-judgmental. It is a judgment-free zone, and it is all about just doing up to your best ability and not worrying about what your neighbor is doing. Just you're doing your best and relaxing into it and being able to learn more about the ancient Kemetic practice, the origin of this practice, which of course came from Kemet, and to really get more in tune with your own body and mind and soul. So, and if nothing else, just to get a chance to relax. And so give thanks and praise. Trisha, I see you. Give thanks and praise. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful day. And okay, I see. Is it NC or NC? Please tell me if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Imhotep to you. Give thanks and praise. So, yeah, let me find that poster and just put that up while I'm thinking about it. And let's see. And yeah, hopefully this was a really good family day for you all. Now, many people are so surprised to find out that we honor the resurrection on this day when, again, this tradition actually came out of the ancient Nile Valley practice. Here we go. and beliefs and understanding about what it means to live according to your purpose, to not forget who you are. In fact, I started to call today's episode "Remembering Who You Are," because it is really very much about that and how we can get disconnected from who we are. But let me just take this moment and share the Comedic Yoga poster. And so that is at the Gant Gilbert Collective. I have it as Gilbert Gant Collective, but it is the Gant Gilbert Collective, Arts Collective building at 505 Clinton Avenue in Brick City, Newark. So that's from noon to 2 on Saturdays. Please come on out, bring your yoga mat, bring a bottle of water, wear loose, comfortable clothes. Even if you don't have any loose, comfortable clothes, just come. There was a brother who was coming who just had tight jeans and they were working for him. So, you do the best you can with what you have. So, again, let me just take a few moments to share. I was starting to say that I was at a sound bath yesterday. What is a sound bath? Well, if you haven't experienced it, then it would be a really wonderful thing for you to experience. This is where you go and you get into a nice relaxed position on the floor. In this case, we had our yoga mats, and they also have blankets for you to cover yourself with, and cushions for you to put your head and your feet on, or raise your knees or whatever. And for 90 minutes, you are immersed in beautiful, wondrous sounds that come from the Tibetan bowls, and they have bowls of varying size. They come like this big, some as small as this. And then they had ocean drums and rain sticks, and also a woman was playing the keyboard. And with each phase, you were experiencing a shift in your eritu, what we know to be the chakras. And so it's in order to cleanse your system and to realign your system. We're always talking about way and way. I am one with the one, being aligned. And when you are aligned, then you are able to really understand where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be, and what you're supposed to be doing. So yesterday I experienced sort of a shaking loose and realigning. And so because of that, today was an extremely introspective day for me, as I pondered not only what I experienced yesterday, but what my life has been like over the last decade. It's good to do a check-in with yourself to see exactly where you are. If you're happy with where you are, if you're happy with where you live, you're happy with what you're doing in your life. And so I had to really be honest with myself and realize that there was a lot that I'm not happy with. Now, going into this time of resurrection, which is the key time to really hone in on that, although it's always good to check in with where you are, I said, I need to do some deep thinking. Shenu is the term that we use for not only the harmonious circle, but also for deep introspection, for cognitive thought. That's what it means. You think of Shenu or the circle as a reflective mirror as well. And so you are really taking a deep look into your heart, mind, and soul. So I thought, okay, so what am I not happy about? Well, I'll tell you. You all know that I'm a professional artist. I've been a professional artist since I was 15. And the best way that I've been able to not only express myself, but also to teach, to connect with others, and to heal has been through my art. And I'll also tell you that it has been through the arts that my finances have absolutely always flourished. And I kind of hit the wall when it came to committing myself solely to doing spiritual teaching. So, Reverend Tamu, how are you? Good evening. Give thanks and praise. Hoping that all is well with you in Pennsylvania. And Mutricia, I hope that you recover from your stomach ache from too much chocolate. Chocolate is so wonderfully decadent and has its own way of being able to heal. Yes, indeed. So, going back to what I was sharing about the arts. As a teacher and as a scholar, I know a lot. I do. I mean, I'm aware of the fact that that's why a lot of people tune in. There are people who have gotten into the habit of just having a notebook and pen handy when they're calling to just have a casual conversation with me, because I tend to drop a lot of knowledge. It's not because I'm showing off. It's not because it's just kind of where I live, and it's also because I'm really sharing from a place of joy. Reverend Tamu said blessings. I'm sharing from a place of bliss, and so when it gets to be tedious, when I'm sensing that people are only there to get information, not in order to incorporate into their lives to become better people. And I'm not talking about the people that I have selected as students, because I have a very, very small selection of students now based on experiences I've had before that have not gone well with people who were here for superficial reasons. Mood Candy, how are you? It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you. I hope that your health is well. Keeping you in prayer. Give thanks and praise. So when I teach, it's from a place of bliss too, because I'm excited to share with those who I know are going to receive it well, connect with it well, ingest it, internalize it, all of that, and then be able to share it in the appropriate way with others, especially for those who are in my priesthood program. So that makes me really happy. It brings me a lot of joy. For people who tune in just to get motivation, that gives me joy too, because I enjoy doing motivation as a speaker, as an artist, all of that. And to be able to inspire people to live according to, beyond even what they believe for themselves, and to live their best lives. It's good to have somebody who can encourage you, who believes in you, and who sees the best in you, even if you don't see it in yourself. So that brings me bliss as well. Yes, Trisha, yeah, I can see you. And I saw when you had your Trisha H. I assume that was you, right? So, yeah, I see the Facebook, and I also see a little insignia for YouTube. I see you in both, okay? All right, so what is it that really has gotten me thinking about whether or not I'm really happy? So, when you become a spiritual leader, a spiritual teacher, and you put yourself out there as a spiritual person, people will often have expectations of you that aren't really realistic. Okay? The story of Wasir, which we'll be getting into today, is a great example of that, because people want you to be in this lofty place all of the time, and you're just trying to deal with being in this existence from day to day. The various challenges that we all face, some more than others, some in ways that we can't even begin to understand because we're not in those circumstances. But we all have our challenges, and learning how to maneuver in this body and with this mind and in this realm of reality can be daunting. especially when people have their expectations of you. So let me tell you one thing that I did for myself, because my Heruma suit was last week, my birthday, well, 2 weeks ago now, on the 20th, on the 16th, and I turned 64. And let me also again remind you, I have been in therapy for the last 4 years. Now I'm in therapy and group therapy, and it's several times a week, and it has served me so well. All right. Some people might have issues with hearing that spiritual leaders are in therapy. Well, listen, if you're a spiritual leader, especially, you really need to go to therapy, because we're dealing with people who have their own issues, but then you got to deal with your own issues as well. Okay. So that's been a beautiful thing. And it has forced me to look within as far as who I am and letting some things go as far as what people expect of me, or what they don't understand, or my compromising who I am in order to make other people feel comfortable. The theme yesterday for the sound bath also was let it go. Let it go. So this is what I bought for myself for my Heruma suit for my birthday. I bought, let me see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new pairs of boots. And in total, let me see, because one group I bought, it was 5, I got 5 for $20. I'm talking about a bargain. And then I spent $7 on another 2 pair of boots. All right. I have quite a boot collection, and all of them I buy on sale like that. All right. So here's one pair. Okay. Another pair. And another. And they came in tan too. And these. Last but not least, this pair. I think this is my favorite. Now that might surprise some of you to see the style that I like. And I mean, don't get me wrong, because I have pink boots too. They're probably, well, they're styled mostly a lot like these here, but I have pink boots. I have boots with snake print on them. Okay. I have a nice variety. Okay. But they all fully express me. Reverend Tamu says, all beautiful. I love me some boots just like that too. Yeah, right? Uh-huh. The last one was your favorite too, Trisha? Yeah. Yes. Brand spanking new off the sale rack, because that's the only way that I buy, okay, when it comes to how I adorn myself. But I love wearing all black. I'm wearing white today because of the fact that it is Resurrection Sunday, but I'm most comfortable in wearing all black. I've had this talk with y'all a couple times a while ago, but I really need to kind of up the ante on this and really get people to understand, because this is me. And we can so often pigeonhole folks in assuming that you must wear all white. Now, yes, I've gone through my periods of time where I've worn all white and where I really, really needed to do that for my own purification and also for my own spiritual protection, as it turns out, because there were some things that I ended up encountering that completely went against the grain of what I uphold as being morally correct, and found myself in circumstances where I had to really bathe myself in light in order to get all of that off of me. When we do our spiritual cleansing, it's common for us to put on white and for us to cleanse our bodies, our diets, what we watch on television, the whole deal, right? But in truth, my power color is black and always has been. And so while it's a radical shift for some people to see me in black as opposed to the white that they were used to seeing me in, it's just something y'all gonna have to deal with. All right, that's who I am. And in Kemet, the color black is the color of resurrection. Yes, people always think that it's white, and yes, white is a color of purity and new life. But in truth, the color black is the Kemetic color for rebirth and resurrection. And I started to wear black today, but I said, okay, this will be the last time I'm going to compromise on this. And I didn't want to startle you too much, okay? But, and Brandon says, wear what strengthens you. Yes, yes. And Tamu says, I have 5 pair of boots, some similar. Is black okay to wear? Oh, see, okay, so I hope you answer your question. Yes, absolutely. Black is okay to wear. Black is the culmination of all colors. And you actually are a person of great strength if you're able to wear black all the time. Now, if you are sick, feeling a little weak, and you are going to be around a lot of people, then it might not be a good idea to wear it, because of the fact that black absorbs energy. It absorbs, what's around you, and you don't want to draw in negativity towards you if you are really not feeling at your best. But then you may have the other side of that, where, well, in order for me to become fully empowered, I need to put my black on. And so, it's up to you. Wear what calls to you. My color is red. Yes, red's a very powerful color. And it's not giving me your name, so I'm not seeing who's saying that. So let me know who just offered that to us, okay? And so, how do you live a spiritual life and stay true to yourself in honoring your calling, your purpose, and your uniqueness? So, let's look at the story of Wasir, also known as Asar, also who the Greeks called Osiris. Now, this is going to be the highly truncated version of the story. And if you want the details, listen, I have plenty of videos from the past few years where I've gone into detail about who Asar is. Asar, Aset, Nebuhet, Setesh, and the little spoken of brother Heru, or Heru the elder, not Heru the nephew, but Heru the uncle, okay? So, Sister Janice, okay, give thanks. I'm good, thank you. So, I have to say, in my thoughts today, as I've considered the last several weeks and how I have been on my healing journey, and not just with this whole thing with my mouth. And you see, I'm talking a whole lot better. It's because my mouth is healing so well. I don't have the pain that I had before. I actually found myself thinking about Asar and how he must have gone through periods of resentment of his role, and even possibly rage. And people will do things as an act of rebellion because they are in their own way lashing out, trying to express what they're repressing. And to be very honest with you, I found myself enraged several times throughout the past few weeks. But I knew that that meant that I was getting better, because I finally got to that place of being so angry, so completely ticked off about various things that have happened to me over the past few years. And I felt finally it was okay to let myself be in that place. I've been depressed. I've been, but then to finally get to the place to admit I'm so furious. And in our tradition, when you get to a place of fury, righteous anger, then you do something about it. Now, the other part of my life is as an activist, okay? So I'll be making more details clear to you in upcoming podcasts in terms of how I'm going to fully address my life as an activist and artist. We call it being an artivist. But let's go back to Wasir. Wasir was considered the ultimate activist and leader and teacher, and also is tied in with the arts. He was someone who empowered the people. Now, it had nothing to do with retrograde. Trust me, Brandon. Nothing. Because the rage started before the retrograde, all right? But back to Wasir. He was someone who was a greatly beloved king. And that's because he empowered his people. How? He taught them the ways of agriculture so that people could farm well for themselves and become wealthy because of their bounty. And he did this far and wide. It said he traveled the globe. You can find the name Asar or variations of Asar all over the world. And so his reach was far and deep. And when you are able to encourage people to become wealthier, whether it's emotionally, whether it's financially, but especially financially, but whether it's emotionally, financially, from a soul level, bettering people's lives so that they're not suffering, that's a gift. And educating people so that their minds become illuminated, that's a gift. Because again, you're helping people to better their circumstances, yes? All right. Now, of course, his mate was Aset, who is the throne. And she is someone. She is, you can think of her as, and the Necharu as angelic forces, if you will. Just for lack of a better term, they are supreme forces of the divine who came in the flesh in order to help mankind. She was mated to Asar, and was someone of great insight and wisdom, and was able to foresee what was to come. She had a role to play, as did her sister, Nebuchadnezzar, who gets a really bad rap. And this is because, and here we go with this story. According to the story, King Asar had a thing for Nebuchadnezzar. Now, she resembled Aset. They were sisters. And you must also understand the role of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar is the sacred chalice. She represents choice. Now, you can choose what to put into the chalice. You can choose what you drink from your chalice, or whether or not to drink. It's about choice. This is life. You make choices in life. And when Nebuchadnezzar challenges you to make a choice, she is really rooting for you to make the better choice, because her role is to bring you to a place of mastery. The root word of Nebet is Neb. Neb is the bowl of mastery. Now, when you have a bowl and you think of a topic, okay? Say somebody is a plumber, and to become a master plumber, you have to learn everything that there is that goes into plumbing. And you imagine it going into a bowl. The bowl is full, you have mastered it, right? So Nebuchadnezzar, she represents the bowl or the chalice of mastery. The T at the end feminizes the word. So when she presents choice to you, the idea is that you make the choice that is going to bring you ultimately to mastery on a path that's either going to be a little easier, maybe a little more difficult, based on what lies in your heart. All right. Back to Asar. Asar, he admired Nebuchadnezzar, in more ways than he should have, but he did. But the thing about Asar also is that he was not one to really own up to how he truly felt. And he had this image to live up to because he was King Asar or Wasir. And, you see how we observe people in royalty today. They may disclose what's really going on in their lives. They may keep certain things secret. And that's because they're concerned about their image. They're concerned about certain information getting out there and being taken the wrong way. You're being completely misconstrued and all of that. But there is a certain guardedness that goes along with that role. So I need to turn my phone off. Let me just do not disturb. There we go. Okay, so he was very guarded about the fact that he found Nebuchadnezzar quite attractive. Nebuchadnezzar was very well aware of this. Now see, you're talking about demigods, all right? And as such, they were immortal. But if they were challenged on their immortality and they responded the wrong way to certain life circumstances, they could lose their immortality. And this is exactly what happened to Asar. Nebuchadnezzar presented herself in the veil of the evening, masquerading as her sister, Aset. And so Asar, he's thinking, oh, we're gonna play a little game. Okay, all right. Okay, so you're my wife. Okay, that's cool. And in her heart, Nebuchadnezzar was hoping that Asar would turn her down and was really heartbroken when he did not. So they carried on with the act. And because of the choice that Asar made, that meant he was condemned to die. And who was going to kill him? His brother, who was married to Nebuchadnezzar. And the brother was Setesh, who the Greeks called Seth. But it is really Setuk or Setesh. Setesh found out what happened and lost his mind. And the very truncated version of the story had his brother killed twice, had Asar killed twice. He was rescued the first time by Aset. And the second time, Setesh wanted to make sure that his brother was good and dead. So he had his brother's body hacked into 14 pieces and flung to the various parts of, some say Kemet, some say the world. One piece turned up missing. His penis ended up going into the river and being swallowed by a fish. Okay. So Nebuchadnezzar and Aset went on a search to retrieve all of his body parts. And why was this? Well, because since Osset was a great seer, she knew that she needed to be able to procreate with Asar, because a prince needed to be born who would become king, who would end up saving Kemet. Why did Kemet need saving? Well, since Asar was killed, Setesh took over the throne, and Kemet became chaos. And so all the good that had been done was undone. And it was necessary for a savior king to come and put Kemet back together, to heal it, to bring healing to the land. Okay? Charmaine Muchelia, how are you? It's good to see you. So here's the thing. One, let's already look at the story, because whenever you're dealing with tales, okay, stories, allegory, you always look at who you are in the story. Always. And so Nebuchadnezzar, choice, bringing you to mastery. Osset, the ultimate fixer, right? Self-sacrificing, but also wise and strong, and getting the job done no matter what for the greater good. Setesh, who represents the shadow self, the unexpressed shadow. What is that? Well, that shadow side is that part that you don't want anybody to see or know about. You know that you have this person, this individual aspect of yourself within, this characteristic within. But it wouldn't be too cool if other people found out about it, right? So you kind of keep that to yourself. And also you can go into delusion about it also existing. You just go into denial. And Setesh represents the part of Wasir that he denied. So all the things that had been hidden were on open display through the brother, Setesh. This is what happens when we are in denial about those little aspects of ourselves that we need to work on, but don't want to really own or take the time to fix. Okay? And Wasir's nickname was the Perfect Black. He was thought of as being just absolute perfection. So he did not want to go against that image that the public had of him. However, it would have been better for him to admit his shortcomings and work on them instead of making the choice that he made. So, again, moving the story along, there are a lot of details. Osset and Nebuchadnezzar, they work together, and their energies work as a battery. Okay, so one is a positive charge, one is a negative charge, and together they bring life. They found all of the body parts of Wasir except for the penis. So Osset fashioned a penis out of, some stories say gold, some say wood, and put him back together, lit him up with energy, right? And brought him back to life long enough for Osset to be able to do what she needed to do to be able to draw forth his seed and become pregnant by it. People will say this is an immaculate conception. It's not really, okay, because the fact that she still did the deed, all right? But whatever the case. So after that, Asar ended up going into the underworld, all right? He was not able to sustain living in this reassembled body. And he also had to face his own fate and karma because of the choice that he had made. Now, in many stories, it says that he was languishing in the Duat, in the underworld, not fully remembering all of what happened, all of who he was, all of what his purpose was. And all of that did not come together for him until time had passed. His son was born, and this is the son, Heru. Mutranel, how are you? It's good to see you. The son Heru was born. And just to advance the storyline here, eventually he becomes a grown man, and his focus is on vindicating his father and also winning back the throne that is rightfully his, that Satesh had taken. There are battles, and whenever Satesh wins in battle, it is night, and battling against the uncle, okay? I mean, his nephew. And then when Heru would win, then it would be day. Heru means day. It means to be awakened. It means light, okay? So after long battles and a lot of trickery and so forth, you really get to see the absolute worst of Satesh in these stories. And also the naivete of Heru, because he had a lot of innocence, and his intentions were pure. At one point, they were really very self-absorbed intentions, where he was just thinking, well, I want it because it's mine, and I'm tired of being poor, okay, because Aset was no longer in the throne. Satesh on the throne. Satesh had thrown her out of the castle. And he was living like a commoner. And so part of him was very angry. He was also very angry because his father had been killed. He was raised without a father. However, Aset made sure that he had a strong community around him, that Shenu, okay, who's in your circle. So he was surrounded by very loving and protective Necheru, who helped to raise him. And so eventually, though, he won in battle, and balance was brought back to Kemet. And as far as Satesh was concerned, he was put into service, blowing the bark of Ray daily. That's just another whole thing. I'll break that down some other time. But what about Asar? At the point where Heru finally becomes awakened in his pursuits, and this is what happened. Satesh gouged out Heru's eye in battle, and so he becomes Heru the blind, so to speak. In some stories, Jehuti restores his eye, and others is Het Heru. But when his third eye, metaphorically, is restored, and he becomes truly the awakened Heru, the doubly awakened Herukuti, that's when he realizes that the battle is not just about him and his selfish pursuits, even though he was justified in his rage and his anger, and he was justified in his wanting this throne that was taken from him, that he was robbed of. There was a bigger purpose. It was for the well-being of the people of Kemet. And any true ruler keeps his eye on the people. Now you see, with Wasir, when he gave into his moment of lust, he had taken his eye off of the mission. And what would happen if he gave into that lust? And then what ended up happening? He lost his life. He lost the throne. Kemet lost its peace. Rulers must keep their eyes on their mission. Heru became aware of his mission in that moment, and a new sense of heroism rose up in him. And that's what gave him the strength to overcome Satesh. And in that moment, Asar, who was languishing in the Duat, remembered who he was. He remembered what happened. He remembered what he did. He remembered what he also had done as king, as leader, as the great inspiration to his people. And he saw that he had a son that he was not there for, but his son had vindicated him. And he also saw that it was because of the faithfulness of Aset that all of this happened. He lifted his hands and started giving praise, praising his wife for her faithfulness, praising his son for his vision and his dedication, praising all of creation for the lesson that he had learned, and for remembering that even though now he was in the Duat, he still had the opportunity to reign as the King of Heaven. And as he continued to give praise, he rose higher and higher and higher through all of the levels of the Duat until he rose up into the heavens and was resurrected and became known as the great king of the afterlife. Yes, Wasir, the perfect black. Now, let me just show you this image that I created. I talked to you about how art is the best way that I communicate. So, just take myself out here for a moment. Now, let me just bring myself back in for just a moment, just so you can hear me. You'll notice that Asar is depicted on the bottom in white, and then Aset is in blue. And the wings of Ma'at are behind the central figure, and the central figure is Heru. So let me ask you this. When it comes to your purpose, do you ever find yourself kind of resentful of your role? I mean, a lot of us have been in that place, whether it has been through parenting. Sometimes you just get tired. You just need some time to yourself. It could be that way in a relationship in general, in a family in general. Sometimes you just need to have time to yourself. And also where you just wish that somebody else could have responsibility for something, just for the moment. If you are in leadership position on your job, in your social club, you ever feel resentful? And if so, then how do you deal with it? What are your thoughts on it? How do you feel about it? It's important to be able to take the time, because the beginning is acknowledging how you feel, to not be in denial. Because once you are in alignment with what's going on with you, how you feel, and why you feel the way you do, then you can do something about it. Okay? And being in denial is not healthy at all. It brings on illness, disease, imbalance, what we call esfet, which is chaos, or the opposite of ma'at, which is order, reciprocity, balance, harmony, higher love, justice. Living in this world, we deal with so many things that are just unfair. And a lot of times people don't know exactly what to do with it. Some people just give in and just say, this is the way it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. But The story of Heru, again, look at who you are in the story, shows persistence, shows outcome in your persistence, and also the importance of believing in what is just and fighting for what is right. You have choice. Nebuchadnezzar, again, choice. What will you do with your sacred chalice? This chalice also represents you. You know, like when we do our Huit Kares, the last thing that we do is hold up the cup. What do you choose to fill your life with? And again, Nebuchadnezzar will bring you to mastery. It's just a matter of how you're going to get there. It could be kind of easy. It could be more challenging than you think because of making choices based on emotion. Aset represents the balance of emotion and thought and action. Okay? That's another level of persistence for the greater good, where somebody's got to be strong and mature in this, right? Realizing that she had a son that was rash, very emotional, and who was not only dealing with his immaturity, but also dealing with his innocence, his naivete, but also his rage. She had to be the voice of reason. Okay? So, where are you in all of that? How do you respond when you feel as though you're just taking on too much? You need to have some chill out time. Or if you find yourself in a state of absolute denial. I'll tell you, the older I get, the more in tune with myself I find myself to be. And you have a chance to look back on what you've been through. And then also, as King Asar did, to realize what has been the outcome of your choices, but also to give thanks because now you have attained wisdom. You cannot cheat your way to wisdom. Wisdom only comes through experience and being able to look with a fair eye at what happened, what you were feeling, the individuals who were involved in the situation, if there were any, and to remember all of that if you come up against that situation again, so that you'll know, oh, I'm not doing this again. Or, yeah, that was a good thing. I'm going to do this. Asar, the perfect black. We start out by saying that black is a culmination of all colors. I know he's depicted as green, but he's also, he was depicted with dark skin. And oftentimes in Kemetic art, they would use either the black color or they would use blue or even dark shades of green. And green is most associated with him because he was associated with agriculture. And again, empowering people by teaching them how to be able to grow their own harvests and to become financially abundant through that. Black, the perfect black. The power of wearing black, the strength of wearing black, and being able to wield your power because you know who you are and because you're not worried about being perceived as evil. Mysterious, yes. But you have a self-assurance. Don't you find that when you wear all black, you know, people respond to you a certain way, right? Yeah. Yes, indeed. I pray that your wisdom journey is one that is Joyous, yes. Heartfelt, yes. Strengthening, yes. Truthful and honest. And above all, uplifting. Because no matter what we go through in life and the choices that we make, we still are able to find a way to ascend. As long as we are appropriately persistent, as long as we remember who we are and why we are here. And as long as we continue to encircle ourselves with people who are supportive, who are loving, and who believe in us as well. I'm going to share the, where are my glasses? I got some new glasses. And gosh, I think I put them in my bag. I'll throw in my coat pocket. I'll live. So, and this is another one of these things where I went back to my John Lennons. All right. Where in the world are they? Let's see. Yeah, because I tried this other style. Was it last year? And year before last, and I was like, why did I let these people talk me into this style? Because my John Lennon's broke, right? So I was like, okay, I'll try something different. I'm back to my John Lennon's. Hold on just a moment. I think they're in my coat pocket. I'll live. Reverend Tamu says, thank you. I heard that Black absorbs negativity. Right. Again, this is why you have to be really a strong person, because if you're a strong person, you're going to repel that negativity. So if you are in spiritual work, do not run the risk of absorbing too much from others. Yeah, right. That's like when I was saying about if you're not feeling well, if you feel a little weak, then it would probably not be the best thing for you to be around other people where you can pull in their energy, because that's the last thing you want to do. But if, on the other hand, you find that you're able to transmute. See, here's the thing. Black is a color for transmutation. Bottom line, it is. But you have to know how to do that. All right. So that means that you are able to pull in and then shift the energy up. See, that's why Black cats are so potent and so powerful, because that's exactly what they do. All cats are able to pull in and transmute energy. This is why you'll notice if you're not feeling well, they'll come and they'll lay on you or next to you, because they're doing work. They're healing you. They're pulling in the negative energy that they're sensing from you, and then they're able to transmute it. But that's why they rest so much too, because they're always on the case. They're like walking brooms, okay? But this is also why, as a metaphysician, as a healer, as a spiritual person, it's important to know how to be able to protect yourself. We wear our sa, our protective sa, our jewelry, right? I've always got on my ankh with my Reninette, my jet around it. You'll always see me with rings on, okay? And this actually is a favorite of mine. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little blurry. Well, actually what it is, I don't know if y'all remember how far back this was a while back. Trisha, I know you remember this. I used to have an ankh ring that had arms embracing the ankh. And then it got squashed, and I have not been able to replace it, but I found this ring, and it is 2 arms embracing. And so, yeah, sometimes I'll just put it over my ankh ring. But this is to remind me of Anket, who is the embracer. Yeah. The term for embrace is Iyat. There are a couple, but Iyat and Anuket, embrace life, embracing life. So I wear this now on my ring finger, my right ring finger, because I'm wedded to myself, my own life, the worth of my life, and the beauty of my life, and the strength of my life. Yeah. And so, yeah, having protective jewelry on is able to help you with transmutation, and even with just like reminders of what something means. So there's reinforcing. Okay. Okay. And who is this that's asked, what's this session about that I just joined? This is about the Kemetic resurrection and um, remembering who you are. Okay. So yeah, let me know who is that, because your name is not identified. So I'm assuming that you must have come in from one of my group pages. Okay. So I was saying about the Huit Karest, our Eucharist that we'll be doing today. This is from the original writings that were left behind. Let me see if I can find the page. I've got all these different ones folded back here. I love the ancient writings. The ancient scriptures are just so it's incredibly beautiful. And one of the things I absolutely love about this tradition is the fact that we have scriptures that were left behind. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, well, I just passed the page about tithing, and that's from the story of the it's from this famine stela, and so my name is Salis Setos Amonre Septen Re Remesu Meri Amun. Pareku, blessings. Pareku. Duo for saying hi. Thank you. All right. So I was saying about the famine stela, and it reminds us to tithe. This is where the original notion of tithing came from. Some people have so much resentment about tithing, but in truth, as I explained in the last session, that tithing was a way of making sure that the community needs were were met as far as people being fed, so that if people brought forth a tenth of what they had and brought them to the riverbank where people would be able to meet, and they laid down their offerings to the Hepi and to Kenamu, then the people would eat what was there afterwards. Okay, so that way no one would starve. So if you brought forth your cooked oxen and you brought forth this, all the best of your vineyard and your crops and all, then everyone would share and no one would be in need. So in Shenu, our thing has been feeding those who have food challenges. And so when I get offerings in, when people make the donations, then I go and I'll either directly donate money to food pantries, or I will go and purchase food and then bring them to the various places where people need them, or I will provide a meal for someone or something like that. But it goes to your tithes go toward helping people to live a better life. And there are some people who feel as though you're enabling folks. You don't know. Don't judge. I mean, it's different if you see somebody that is just like stuck in their circumstances because they don't choose to move forward. But a lot of times you don't know exactly what's going on. And, having been in those circumstances where I've needed to have help in terms of being food challenged. I know what it's like to be hungry. I know what it's like when you have people who owe you money and you're just sitting there with nothing because the fact that they won't come through and pay you. There are plenty of people who end up in those circumstances. And so if we're able to help each other, then we'll all be a lot better. We have more than enough resources on this planet so that no one should be in need. There is more than enough food. There is more than enough shelter. And I don't mean like a homeless shelter. I mean that there are so many empty buildings where people could be living right now. And so we should be focused on what we can do to help alleviate suffering for one another. Okay? I just showed you my collection of my new boots, but trust and believe I'm emptying out my closet plenty of times during the year where I will go and donate my clothes because somebody else can use them, and it gets to a point also where you start realizing what you really need, what you don't need so much, Okay, so if you wish to tithe, then please go to shenuwaters.info. The other new web address that will also take you to the same site is shenuliving.com. Okay, and if you want to find out about learning materials, then you can also go to imaku.info to the store. Okay, as I'm still looking here. This is what I get for not bookmarking. Oh, let's see. This is in the, I think it's in the Legends of the Gods section. Here we are. Okay. Yes, I have it marked Eucharist. All right. So this, for those of you who have an introduction to ancient Egyptian literature, this is the translation by Budge. His translations are not perfect. I can't say I've found any that are perfect, but all this does is make us work stronger as and harder as scholars. So that's a good thing. I can also tell you that there's somebody out here now who is, where is he from? He's Eritrean, and he is claiming to have the correct translation of the Medu Neter, because he's saying that it comes completely from the oh gosh, what do you call it? The language is used in Eritrea. Anyway, let me say this. If you're going to learn Medu Neter, then you must do cross-correlative study with the following languages: Aramaic, Hebrew, Greek, all languages that came out of the Hapi or Nile Valley, all, not just one, all. And also West African languages as well. Basically, all of the influences that fed into what became Kemet, because Kemet represents the culmination of all of these traditions. And this is not just those who flowed into, but these are also folks who came out of. and were greatly influenced by these traditions. So to say that it is based on just one language is incorrect, and is not really doing the work in retrieving all the information and seeing how all of these traditions intersected and culminated in what became Happy Valley culture. Okay, so let's make sure we understand that it's not just a simple jump and skip and all this other stuff. It is work. It is dedicated work over years and years and years and years. Okay, so I mean, you can find. I found Yoruba language, directly in Kemetic culture, and that's because of the fact that there's the West African influence, but there are also words from South Africa that you can find, and this is again the whole flowing in and flowing out, those who put in, those who took out, so you have to take all of that into consideration. All right, it doesn't mean that this one group of people, they have it all and they're the chosen ones and all of that. No, that's not what it means. All right, let's just be very, very clear from a scholarly standpoint, and also just from looking at history and the way that society works. And yeah, I just wanted to be able to share that. You'll actually find in my book, Kesu Dwaumeni, the chart that shows where a lot of the languages intersect. Different words that are found in Buddhist tradition in Yoruba. I mean, because the fact that the other thing you have to consider also is that people in the Happy Valley and Kemet, they traveled the world. So, all right, let me just, now that I've said that. So, page 62. It says at the bottom, of the works that were originally composed for recitation on the days of festivals of Osiris or Wasir, and were specially connected with the cult of this nature. 3, which became very popular in the Greco-Roman period, the later period, may be mentioned. These are the Lamentations of Ast and Nebuchadnezzar, the festival songs of Ast and Nebuchadnezzar, the book of Making Splendid the Spirit of Wasir. The first of these works was recited on the 25th day of the 4th month of the season Akhet, which back then was October to November. Akhet is, there's the flood season, and there's the growing season, and then there's the harvest season. So then in those times, related to certain time frame, and we honor what is true to where we are now and today. Okay, the first of these works was recited on the 25th day of the 4th month of the season Akhet by 2 fair women who personified Ast and Nebuchadnezzar. So that there is a reflection of the change of things, because the Greco-Roman period was one where you had lighter-hued people who lived in Kemet. Now, one of these had the name of Aset on her shoulder, and the other the name of Nebuchadnezzar, and each held a vessel of water in her right hand, and a Memphis cake of bread in her left. The object of the recital was to commemorate the resurrection of Wasir. And if the book were recited on behalf of any deceased person, it would make his spirit to be glorious and establish his body and cause his ka, or spirit, to rejoice and give breath to his nostrils and air to his throat. The two women sang the sections alternately in the presence of the Kerheb and Setem priests. The two first sections, as they are found on a papyrus in Berlin, read thus. I think I'm going to need my glasses. Hold on. These aren't my John Lennons, but they're my trusty readers. Oh, Dua Reverend Tamu. Rest well. Aset saith, come to thy house, come to thy house. O An, come to thy house. Thine enemy Setesh hath perished. O beautiful youth, come to thy house. Look thou upon me. I am the sister who loveth thee. Go not far from me. O beautiful boy, come to thy house. Straightway, straightway. I cannot see thee, and my heart weepeth for thee. My eyes follow thee about, meaning I'm looking for you. I am following thee so that I may see thee. Lo, I wait to see thee. I wait to see thee. Behold, Prince, I wait to see thee. It is good to see thee. It is good to see thee. O An, it is good to see thee. Come to thy beloved one. Come to thy beloved one. O Wunefer, O beautiful one, whose word is truth. Come to thy wife. O thou whose heart is still. Come to the lady of the house. She is summoning her beloved to come back, okay, to come back to life. Peace and blessings, brother Raymond. How are you? I am thy sister from thy mother's womb. Go not thou far from me. The faces of gods and men are turned towards thee. They all weep for thee together. As soon as I saw thee, I cried out to thee, weeping with a loud voice, which pierced the heavens, and thou didst not hear my voice. I am thy sister, who loved thee upon earth. None other loved thee more than thy sister, thy sister. Nebuchadnezzar says, O beautiful prince, come to thy house. Let thy heart rejoice and be glad, for thine enemies have ceased to be. Thy two sisters are nigh unto thee. They guard thy bier and address thee with words full of tears as thou liest prone on the bier. Look thou at the young women, speak to us, O sovereign Lord. Destroy thou all the misery that is in our hearts. The chiefs among gods and men look upon thee. Turn towards us thy face, O sovereign Lord. At the sight of thy face, life cometh to our faces. Turn not thou thy face from us. The joy of our heart is in the sight of thee, O beautiful sovereign. Our hearts would see thee. I am thy sister, Nebuchadnezzar, who loveth thee. The fiend Seba has fallen and hath not been, that is Setesh. I am with thee, and I act as a patroness of thy members forever and ever. And so that is the first of the recitations that is done. If you have your offerings for Huey Kadest, I invite you to join me. In your cake or your bread, which represents Wasir and the unification of his members, which also represents the unification of the healing, loving body of light of the Herukuti, of the awakened, of the doubly awakened and the Karest, which has transcended from death to life. And on this day, where we follow the original tradition of having water, and as we speak loving words of healing and unification and joy and remembrance into the water, nefer nefret, goodness and beauty and success, and also remembering that water holds memory. May we remember, body, mind, and soul, who we are, what our divine purpose is, and may we fulfill the mission for which we are here. And also may we serve humanity and, of course, the Most High in the ways of our best selves, in joy, in truth, in strength, and perseverance. And as you remember, this cup represents you. You are a divine vessel. What and who you fill your life with helps to determine the kind of life that you live, represent who you are, and also help you to fulfill your destiny. Much love to all. That concludes our service for today. And before I go, does anyone have any questions? If you want to, let me put this up here. Reach our website. Please go to shenuliving.com. Thank you, Brandon. Give thanks. And I pray that you all have a really wonderful evening. And Dwau Trisha. Dwau. And if you have prayer requests, please feel free to reach out as well. I am Reverend Dr. Queen Mother Imaku Maria, which means much love. And let me correct something. This is Teni, which is accountability, okay? This is Chebu, which represents peace, but also restoration. And Heri, be at peace. Much love to you all.